Hi, my name is Ashley Taplin. I'm a secondary math specialist in San Antonio, Texas. So I work with primarily high school teachers to plan and implement strategies and curriculum in the classroom. And I also give professional developments across our district as well as nationwide. Most recently, I've been working with the Bureau of Education and Research to plan and deliver a professional development centered around student engagement and persistence. So the first question is about how I became passionate about this profession and working with teachers and coaching teachers. I think I first experienced the power of collaboration when I had student teachers, and I was their mentor teacher to them and really got to see our conversations come to life in the classroom. And I think that was so powerful to me to be a part of when a strategy worked, when we had planned so hard something together and the power of both of us talking made the strategy even better. And so seeing that in the classroom develop and then implemented just gave me so much excitement and made me want to continue to do that and to continue to work with teachers and improve both of our crafts. I also started to give professional developments throughout the district, and I loved sharing ideas. I loved bouncing ideas off of other teachers. And as I started to give these professional developments, it became exciting to me to get to do this. And so I've loved to continue partnerships with teachers and really become a thought partner with teachers as they're developing strategies and as we together are improving education. In a lot of articles that I've written, I talk a lot about SEL, social emotional learning. And so I want to describe a little bit of what SEL is and then how it can be applied to math teaching especially. I don't think it's often combined together. You don't hear SEL and math together a lot, but I think when we start to implement it and when we embed it into math curriculum, it can transform a classroom. So social emotional learning is the foundation, I believe, to creating a safe and trusting classroom environment. It's all about understanding our own emotions and learning to establish relationships with others. So I love CASEL. CASEL is the main resource that I often turn to for ideas and also just their foundation of what SEL is. And I want to kind of say their definition because I think it captures it really well and then kind of build off of that. So their definition is that SEL is a process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, and feel and show empathy for each other, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. So that's a lot, but I continually, like I said, I continually reference CASEL as I develop activities and strategies. And I like to tie every activity I'm creating to a core competency. So CASEL has these 5 core competencies: self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and relationship skills. And I think as we develop strategies and we really define what core competency that strategy is tied to, we can really make those strategies even more powerful. So what I mean by that is, let's say we're doing just a simple turn and talk strategy. I'm having students pair up, talk about something before we all share out. This is building social awareness and relationship skills. And I like to say that explicitly to students, that we are practicing this. We're getting better at developing our social awareness, or we're getting better at our relationship skills simply by turning and talking and sharing with each other our own thoughts. I think when we ask students to reflect on their learning at the end of a lesson, that's building self-awareness. They're taking the time to cognitively think back, what did I learn about? And how can I express that? How can I state that? One strategy I love to use is a 3-2-1 reflection. So 3 things I learned, 2 things I found interesting, and 1 question I still have. And that kind of scaffolds that reflection piece and gives feedback to both the student and the teacher. So again, I think that example itself, the 3-2-1 reflection, builds our self-awareness and helps students to be able to take what they learned and be really metacognitive in their thinking of what did I learn, how can I summarize it, that's that 3 things I learned. 2 things I found interesting, maybe what does that connect to as I was learning? And then 1 question I still have. I think that's a really powerful feedback, some feedback for a teacher and for a student to know where we're at, how do we need to move forward, and what could be tomorrow's starting off. And so, yeah, SEL is something I'm really passionate about, something that I love to continue to develop ideas for. And I actually have a whole blog post of 8 ways to embed SEL within academic content. So it was a fun way to kind of summarize what I'm thinking about with SEL and provide some strategies like that 3-2-1 or like the turn and talk. And how we can really be, like I said, explicit to students in why we're doing these things and how they relate to SEL to develop this with students. The next question, how can cooperative learning be applied in math teaching, which seems to be such an individual discipline? So yeah, I think it all depends on how we were brought up in doing math. And I think a lot of people were brought up doing math in that individualistic way. We were given, some work to do independently. We checked it, and then we moved on to the next thing. And I think bringing cooperative learning in the classroom can be so powerful. I'm always reminded of the quote, whoever's doing the talking is doing the learning. And I think if we can have students collaborate more, talk more through structured conversations, we're going to push that learning so much further. 2 heads, always better than 1. So how can we help students do this in a way where talking is effective and it's centered around learning? I think one way is through roles. So I've developed, especially in our virtual environment, we need kind of new roles for students to understand how do I talk together over Zoom. That looks totally different, and it's something not many of us are used to. So I created both partner roles and team roles as a way to help students know what their own role is and then know what their partner's role is. And then they can work through the math together and really have set ways to talk with each other. I also love, this is kind of SEL related as well, but anytime we're doing something where they all are talking together, I love to provide, some kind of get to know you questions to not only just break the ice, but also to feel comfortable together and to be able to realize that they're talking with each other. Maybe they're talking about their family members or pets that they have or something. But this kind of allows them to start being comfortable with each other before diving into the math. And I've done that a lot, especially in breakout rooms. Let's talk about, what kind of pets do you have? And then I want you to go solve this equation so that they can, kind of get to know each other, like I said, get comfortable, and then dive into the math concepts. Another thing, I think that I recently tried out a couple different strategies where students have that set role with each other, and one of my favorites is Jigsaw. So in Jigsaw, students have a certain part of the lesson that they are responsible for learning, and they learn it in what's called expert groups. They learn it with others, and they ensure that everyone in that expert group really understands the material because they're about to go out and share and teach that material to other people. And so after the expert groups have learned, they break out, and now they're in a new group where, we might have an expert group about, let's say we're doing area and perimeter of certain shapes. So we're doing one shape, another shape, and another shape, and there's 3 different people, 3 different experts about a different subject. now they're teaching each other, and they each are responsible for teaching and learning from each other. So again, Jigsaw, one of my favorite cooperative learning techniques that I think can be really powerful because students are learning from each other. Another example of a cooperative learning strategy that I did was numbered heads together, and we kind of turned it with a twist. We made it into kind of a game, and I think putting a game-like atmosphere to cooperative learning can engage students even more. So we also did this one virtually, where we had students go into breakout rooms and they learned they practiced a skill together, and we actually used Jamboard for this. So they practiced a skill together, and then once they got the answer, they all came back to the main room. And when they were back in the main room, we called on a certain numbered person and gave them a code word. So we said, number 4, favorite barnyard animal. And all the number 4s in each breakout room typed as fast as they could into the chat. And the first person that we saw type in the chat got to share the answer and got to have their Jamboard displayed, and then their group shared out their solution. This slight change to just a normal practice made for this fun way to hear student voice. And students were getting really competitive. They wanted to unmute. They wanted to share out, all because we kind of set this in a game-like cooperative learning atmosphere. So again, I love cooperative learning so that we can hear all student voices. We can give roles to help scaffold that. And I think, yeah, there's some great strategies out there.